How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to a Talking Sports UNOSODE. I'm your host, Andrew. Today, I'm going to be by myself in this UNOSODE. And once again, I will be coming on here to talk about the MLB. And this time, I'll be talking about expansion. Now, me and Miles talked about this at the end of our most recent full show that you can go check out. It's our most recent upload. But we briefly talked about our thoughts on expansion, and I'm here today to kind of give a more broader and more, I would say, in-depth look at what this league might look with 32 teams, because that is what most likely we could be looking at for an expansion, 2 new teams. And me and Miles in our last episode talked about the teams and our ideas and where they could be in what cities: Nashville, Charlotte, or Raleigh in the Carolinas, Portland in Oregon, or Salt Lake City in Utah. I thought about Orlando in Florida, but that one's probably the most outlandish one of all of them. So we talked about that in our last episode. If you want to hear about that, you can go check it out. It will be at the very end. It will be in the last chapter of the episode, so you can go check that out. But here today, I kind of want to talk about what the 32-team league might look like and how it might work. So I want to start with playoffs. So if we do have 32 teams, it will look a lot like the NFL. You'll have 4 divisions for the both conferences or leagues in this case, since we do have the American League and the National League. In the NFL, you have the AFC, the American Football Conference. In the NFC, you have the National Football Conference. So you have 32 teams overall, 16 teams per conference or league. In this case, league I'll go with. And you have 4 teams per division. And I'm going to look at a couple maps and kind of realignment maps, both by Yahoo Sports and ESPN. I believe ESPN is by Bradford Doolittle. Bradford Doolittle. So I'm going to be looking at that. And then for Yahoo, I believe it is some graphics that have been uploaded, I believe, by The Athletic and Stephen Nesbitt. So, and that Yahoo kind of just plucked those and put them in their article. You can go check those out too, by the way. They are online. Yahoo Sports has an article. ESPN does as well. So sticking with playoffs, you're going to probably have either a 14-team playoffs with the 4 division winners, and then you'll have 3 wildcard spots, or MLB can choose to go with a 12-team playoffs when you have 6 per league, the 4 division winners and 2 wildcard spots. The 2 wildcard spots will kind of be reminiscent of what we had in the older times a couple years ago before they expanded the playoffs to 3 wildcard teams. So we could potentially go back to that. I'm more in favor myself of staying with the 14-team playoffs. You have the 4 division winners, and then you have the 3 wildcard spots. It kind of opens up the possibility for more teams. 'Cause I think right now we're entering a time in the MLB where you have a lot of teams that can make it to the postseason, and I think that, I would say probably half or maybe 2/3 of the league can make the playoffs. Like, I'm thinking of some teams right now that are kind of on the fringes of making the playoffs via wildcard spots right now. You have the Reds, the Giants, and the NL. I'm pretty sure the Diamondbacks have climbed back into contention late in the season. In the AL, I'm pretty sure the Guardians are playing really good baseball right now. I know the Red Sox and Yankees are kind of fighting it out. In the East, I know the Angels are close-ish. The Royals are also in there as well. The Rangers are there as well. So you can obviously see that with this expanded playoffs, that right now it opens the door for a lot of other teams. So I'm in favor of keeping the 3 wildcard spots, and so that would be the 14-team playoffs. You'd have 7 teams per league making it. You have the 4 division winners with the number 1 seed getting the bye out of the gate, and then you'd have the 6 other teams each be in matchups. So like the 2 and the 7, the 3 and the 5, and then the 2 and the 7, 3 and the 6, and 4 and the 5. I think I got that right, guys. I think I got that right. It'd kind of be like the NFL again. So that's kind of what the playoffs would look like, and I think that would create a lot of cool storylines and create a lot of interesting regular season storylines as well. Now, the other thing I want to talk about here before I get to the realignment maps, I know some people and there's been some theories that the MLB might do away with the National and American leagues, and I completely hate that idea. I really hope they don't, because that is a core foundation of what the MLB is. And if they bring something like the conference system, like the NFL does with the AFC and the NFC, or like the NBA does with the Western Conference and the Eastern Conference, that will just make them like every other sport. And I think baseball, it does a lot to separate themselves from all the other sports. It's one of the older sports in America at this point. So, but keeping the leagues, the American League and the National League, it just continues to have this sense of, yes, we are still baseball. We still have the National League and American League. I think it's too done in at this point to get rid of. And I'm not saying that it's a bad thing. I think it's a great thing that you have the American League and National League. I'm just saying that they're too well known, too historic to get rid of them at this place. And plus, I think we might have figured it out with the All-Star game as compared to the NFL and the NBA, who are constantly finding ways to change their All-Star and Pro Bowl games to meet viewership and get the best product on the field or on the court in the NBA's case, and try to make the best product. And they're still searching to find the best one. As for the MLB, we might have found it. We have the home run derby. We have the actual game, full 9 innings of baseball. You have one player from each team. I think it's all really, really good. And if you take away the National and American League, that will definitely hurt the All-Star game festivities during the Midsummer Classic. And it also is just too nostalgic. Like, you can't get rid of them at this point. So that's my opinion on that, because that has been something that's floated around. And I haven't seen a lot. I don't want to speak for the consensus of people, because quite honestly, I haven't seen too many opinions. I've seen like a couple here and there from different podcasts and news outlets. But from what I've seen so far, some have said, yes, we want to keep the American League and National League. And I'm going to have to ask Miles about this, or he's going to have to comment this down below on what he thinks. And you guys are going to have to as well. Should MLB keep the National and American League if they do expand? Because I think that would definitely be the best idea here. But now, finally, let's move on to the division realignment maps here. So I'm going to start with one that Fox made, the potential MLB realignment with expansion teams. And then we'll move on to the Athletics, because I do like the Athletics even more. So let's start out with the AL. So let's start out with, I do like the names of these, though. The names of these are really, really creative. Some of these are creative, I should say. So let's start out with the AL. You have the AL Northeast. You have the Boston Red Sox, the New York Mets, the Philadelphia Phillies, and the New York Yankees. That is a crazy division, because right now all 4 teams are extremely competitive right now. And you have the Mets and Yankees, that Subway Series, and you're not destroying the Phillies and Mets rivalry from like the proximity that they have. That's a really, really good series. That's a really good division, I should say. So I really like that kind of layout. I definitely do think that it definitely gets the idea of Northeast, like the Cape Cod kind of New England area, because most of those teams are, maybe with the exception of Philadelphia, but like Philadelphia is a little bit more south, but they're all still in that relatively same region, so I am very much in support of that. The next division is the AL Mid-Atlantic. Like I said, I kind of like these names. These are pretty creative. So you have the Washington Nationals, the Baltimore Orioles, the Pittsburgh Pirates, and the Cleveland Guardians. Okay, very interesting. You obviously have the crosstown rivals of the Nats and the Orioles as well. And then you got 2 teams that are kind of just floating in there. You got the Pirates and the Guardians. And the Pirates right now are not very good, so you're kind of taking away from the NL Central and moving over to the AL. They're not the only NL Central team to be moved to the AL. You'll come to see, Brewers fans as well, what I'm talking about. And then you got the Guardians, because I feel like the Guardians are just kind of misplaced overall on the map. Like, the teams around them are the Reds, Tigers, and Blue Jays, and the Pirates, I guess. But then you have the Orioles and Nationals out in Maryland and DC. I don't know if I like the configuration of that division as much, but I definitely think that's kind of just a gaggle of teams that you can't really make sense of, and like geography-wise, or geographically-wise, I guess. But that's the AL Mid-Atlantic. Then we move on to the AL Southeast, where you have the Miami Marlins, Tampa Bay Rays, the Atlanta Braves, and a possible expansion team that looks to be in North Carolina, either in Raleigh or Charlotte. I really hope it's Charlotte because I really love to see a team in Charlotte. You already have the Panthers there as well. But anyways, I think this is good. You got the two Florida teams in there. You have the Braves that they're in that regional as well. They're in Atlanta. And then you got as well the possible expansion team in North Carolina or in Nashville. I forgot about Nashville. They're all in that region. So I think that definitely works. I don't really have many complaints about it. You have the Rays and Marlins rivalry, that kind of Florida rivalry. So I guess I really don't have anything to complain about there. And the Marlins and Rays, specifically the Marlins, are kind of down in the dumps right now. But they have been playing good baseball. And then you have the Braves who, granted this year, haven't been playing that good of baseball either. But they have that pedigree of being a really competitive team in these past couple years. They've won the World Series and been to the World Series a couple times. So I guess they would be the powerhouse team right now, unless Tampa Bay continues to ascend as quickly as they do. But I mean, if we're looking at a couple years down the way here or down the road, like Atlanta should be back into peak form, right? Like you got two pretty competitive teams. You got an expansion team, and then you got Miami, whatever they're going to do. I mean, Miami's been playing good baseball lately, but who knows what's going on with them. But overall, I feel like this is definitely looking at it from the perspective of it being 2025, this is a pretty weak division. You definitely have a lot of the competitive teams in the Northeast division, and then you got the Mid-Atlantic. The Mid-Atlantic is also pretty weak as well. The Nationals and Orioles are both having terrible seasons. The Pirates as well, and then the Guardians are having a really disappointing season as well. So you kind of have those two divisions are kind of underwhelming talent-wise, I would say, but geographically, they get the job done, maybe except the Mid-Atlantic. But that's it for the AL Southeast, the Marlins, Rays, Braves, and the expansion team, either Nashville or a Carolina team. I know I kind of went on a tangent there, but I feel like I had to say it. And the final AL team, or division, sorry. You have the Minnesota Twins, the Milwaukee Brewers, oh boy, the Detroit Tigers, and the Toronto Blue Jays. And they make up the AL Great Lakes. That is a perfect name. I love that name. The Twins being on the Mississippi River maybe doesn't make as much sense. I mean, the Twins are kind of on an island of their own if you take them out of the equation, because if you just leave the border at the Brewers in Milwaukee, like you would have, in my opinion, the AL Great Lakes should be the Brewers, Tigers, Guardians, and Blue Jays. Or, well, actually, yeah, that probably does the best. You have the Brewers, Tigers, Guardians, and Blue Jays. That would be a good division because they're all on the Great Lakes. And then you got the Twins, who are across the Mississippi River. They're not really close to the Royals. I mean, they would be in the same division as the Royals. You can maybe put them in the same division as the Rangers and the Astros and the Royals, maybe. But then you got Colorado on their own. Like, the Twins and the Royals are just in a completely weird spot. And Rockies. Did I say Royals? I meant Twins and Rockies. Those two teams are kind of just like sitting out in the open, and they're kind of hard to place. But getting back to the AL Great Lakes, I think for what it is, I think it's pretty good. The name's great. You have three of the teams being on the Great Lakes. In Minnesota and Minneapolis, it's not really on the Great Lakes, but it's on the Mississippi River that does kind of feed into the Great Lakes indirectly, I believe. Possibly, maybe. I'm not very good with rivers, guys. I'm not very good with rivers. I know Miles will probably say, "No, you do maps and stuff. You memorize maps and stuff. You should be good at that." Yeah, I'm not very good, Miles. I'm not. So I think for the AL Great Lakes, it's definitely flawed, kind of same to all the other AL divisions. Like the AL Great Lakes, as we currently stand, is pretty good overall. So those are the AL divisions, the new AL divisions, the AL Great Lakes, AL Northeast, AL Mid-Atlantic, and AL Southeast. Let's move on to the NL now. Let's start off with the National League Midwest, and they have, I would say they got it right here. They got the St. Louis Cardinals, Chicago White Sox, Chicago Cubs, and the Cincinnati Reds. I think this is a pretty good division. You got some good rivalries with the Cubs, Cardinals, and Reds, and then you got the Chicago battle with the Cubs and White Sox here. The only thing that kind of upsets me is that you have no Brewers-Cubs rivalry, the I-94 rivalry. That's the only thing that I really complain about here, but I think they overall got it right. Maybe the other thing you can do is maybe exclude Cincinnati and maybe include Kansas City in that, but then you'd open up a whole door of where maybe the Twins can be somewhere in that equation, but overall, for it being the Midwest division, I think they got it right. And looking at this, the Cubs and Cardinals and Reds would probably be the most three competitive teams, and then you have the White Sox being the White Sox. So I mean, what are they going to do at this point? So overall, I do like the NL Midwest. I think that's a pretty solid division geographically and talent-wise as well. Excuse me. Sorry about that. Now we move on to the NL Central, different from the NL Midwest. Again, the Midwest name is kind of creative. Now the Central's getting more basic here. But the NL Central has the Texas Rangers, Houston Astros, and the Kansas City Royals, and the Colorado Rockies. Overall, talent-wise, I'm going to get that out of the way because I think it's pretty easy to say. Talent-wise, you got it pretty good. Similar to the Midwest, you got three pretty good teams with the Rangers, Astros, and Royals, not Rockies, because the Rockies suck. So you got good talent-wise overall. You got two pretty big market teams, and then you got the Royals, which may be a little bit anti-competitive because those are two pretty big markets compared to Kansas City being a somewhat smaller market, kind of similar to St. Louis and Milwaukee, I would say, and Cincinnati most likely. And then you got the Rockies. Like, what are the Rockies going to do? They haven't been competitive in so long. And, yeah, I think talent-wise they got it pretty much right. I mean, you're probably going to have the Rangers and Astros run the division unless the Royals completely explode and the Rangers and Astros both fall off like we thought the Astros would and didn't think the Rangers would. And then you got the Rockies once again. Geographically, I mean, the Rockies are the one outlier. Same with the Royals too, but like vertically looking up and down the U.S., I believe that would be latitude-wise. Again, I'm not very good with maps in that occasion. I should be. I probably should be better at that. If my history teacher is listening to this, I'm sorry. So I'm not very good with maps that way, I guess. But the Rockies are the one outlier because they're way more far west than the Royals, Rangers, and Astros. So that's the one outlier. But if that's the one outlier, I think you got it right. Because, I mean, if you look at it, I guess the Rockies are still in the central of the United States, and all the teams are, like with the Royals being the most eastern, but they're still pretty good central-wise, I guess. So I think it's overall fine division. Talent-wise, could be a little bit better, but it's overall pretty good. Again, this map isn't my favorite from Fox. Definitely maybe a little bit uneven. Geographically isn't as good, but I think it's still pretty good. Moving on to the NL Southwest, this is a loaded division right off the bat. A lot of big markets here. You got the Arizona Diamondbacks, Los Angeles Angels, Los Angeles Dodgers, and the San Diego Padres. So here, you keep the Padres and Dodgers rivalry. You got the Highway Series with the Dodgers and Angels, and then you got the Diamondbacks in the desert. And this is a lot of big markets. I think definitely this is where the divisions get a little skewed because you got two of the biggest markets with three teams. You got the Angels, Dodgers, and Padres, and then you got the Diamondbacks, which are still fairly big market in Phoenix, and you got them all in one division. And when you look at some of the other teams like the AL Great Lake, well, that's not really their issue, but some of these other divisions don't have as much market value and don't have these big markets like the NL Southwest. But that's the one other concern I have. And then the teams overall are pretty good, like with the Angels and the Diamondbacks being like the two iffy teams. But the Dodgers and the Padres are going to be big spenders and going to be pretty good every year. So the NL Southwest looks very, very competitive, looks very rich money-wise, I guess I should say. But that's the NL Southwest. And finally, the NL Northwest, again, pretty creative with the name here. Now, this is probably the worst geographical division next to the Central Division. You have the Las Vegas Athletics. They'll probably be in Vegas by the time the expansion happens. The San Francisco Giants, an expansion team, either Portland, and they're going off of Portland here, I'm guessing. And then you got the Seattle Mariners. So I guess Fox is saying that we don't expect Salt Lake City to be the team that gets the expansion team or the city that gets the expansion team. They want Portland to get it. And right off the bat, I mean, why do you have the Athletics in the Northeast Division? They're in the desert. That doesn't make a lot of sense. I'm just going to get that out of the way. And, yeah, that's, like, the one, like, geographical, like, pushback I have against it. So, there's that. And then you got the North, and then, oh, sorry. The Mariners and Giants are probably going to run the division most of the time, but the Mariners I see being the most competitive team. This is a pretty weak division, if I'm being honest. The A's are weird. The expansion team probably not going to be that good, and the Giants are weird as well. They're a little bit better than the A's. They're actually a lot better than the A's. I should probably say that, but I don't know if they're quite on the same level as the Giants. I mean, the Mariners are. Sorry, guys. It's late at night. I'm trying to record this at 8 o'clock, almost 9 o'clock at this point. So I'm tired, but I'm trying to get this episode out. But again, talent-wise and like overall teams, the Mariners are probably gonna get it. It's a weak division talent-wise, and then you got the A's being pretty close and pretty much in the NL Southwest division. So I don't get why they're in the Northeast division, but that's the look at that Fox gave us of a potential realignment map. Now let's move on to the Athletic, because they got two maps here. They got the NL and then the AL, so they're keeping that as well. Let's start with the NL here. So we have the NL West, NL North. I like that a lot. The NL South, I also like that a lot. And then the NL East, very basic. So they keep the names a little bit more generic and maybe not as exciting, but I think it's pretty good. So here we go. Let's start out with the NL West. You have the Giants, Dodgers, Padres, and Diamondbacks. Nothing really changes except you lose the Rockies here. But all these four teams, like I've talked about, they're in the same area. Nonetheless, you got the three big rivalries with the Dodgers, Padres, Dodgers, Giants, and the Padres, Giants, if that's really a rivalry. Again, I don't pay attention to the rivalries in these divisions. And then you got the Diamondbacks as well. Again, this is probably going to be the rich division, but I guess it always has been since they're 3 out of the 4 California teams. So I don't think that really changes in any way, shape, or form. But that's a look at the NL West. Then you got the NL North, my division. You got the Brewers, Cardinals, Reds, and Cubs. And you're excluding, I believe, the Pirates. So with the 4 current teams we have right now, I like it. It keeps a sense of what the Athletic is really wanting here, a sense of what we have currently, and you have a little minor changes here and there. So I really like the NL North. Looking at the NL East, you have the Pirates, you have the Mets, the Phillies, and the Nationals. Immediately, you keep the Mets and Phillies rivalry still in the same area. I really like that. And then you add the Pirates that can add into that rivalry with the Phillies. And then you got the Nationals just there as well. They're a team that you have currently in the NL East, so I like that as well. And then finally, you have the NL South, which is a new division. You have the Atlanta Braves and Miami Marlins still together. And you as well have Tampa Bay that moves over from the AL East to the NL South. And as well, you have the expansion team of either Nashville or Raleigh. So that's very interesting, though. You have either Raleigh or Nashville. But again, geographically, they all kind of fit together in that region. This also, I think this is the same as the AL Southeast that Fox did, except it's an NL team, or an NL division, I should say. So that's very interesting. I wonder who put out their maps first in either case. But again, I like it as well. I already talked about talent-wise and market-wise, but you have them all in the same division. I really, really like it. So let's move on now to the AL. Let's start out with the AL West once again here. You have the Mariners, Angels, and Athletics, 3 teams that are already in the AL West. And now you add Portland or Salt Lake City as one of the 2 expansion teams. Now, in my opinion here, I'll get to what I think of geographically. Portland would make sense for this division because you're adding another team to that northwest area. If you add Salt Lake, you just have another team in that kind of southwest region, that desert area, excluding the Angels because they're not really in the desert, mostly talking about the Athletics and Salt Lake City. But if you have Portland, you have kind of 2 teams up in the northeast and then 2 teams down in the desert kind of southwest area. So that's my opinion. But again, they all make geographical sense. They make sense overall wherever you put that expansion team, and they're all in the same division, Mariners, Angels, and Mariners right now. So it makes a lot of sense, and I really, really like it. Moving on to the AL South now, we have a new division. This is a new division, I should say, similar to the NL South. This time now you add the Colorado Rockies and Kansas City Royals into the fold with the 2 Texas teams, the Rangers and the Astros. This is actually the exact same as the NL Central, except it's an AL team, so Fox was very, very radical, and I do not like that. I really do not like that. So I made my thoughts already on this, but makes geographical sense. I really like it. Let's move on to the AL North. You have the Twins, White Sox, Tigers, and Guardians. Nothing really jumps out off the page to me. They're all the four teams that are currently in the AL Central right now. You'd just be excluding, I believe, who would you be excluding? Who do you be excluding? Oh, the Royals. Duh. They'd be moving to the South Division, but nothing really jumps off the page. It looks pretty much the same except without the Royals, but they're all clumped together in that kind of northern region. They're more north than the Royals, and they're all pretty much on the Great Lakes except for Minnesota and the Twins. Sorry, Minnesota. But I like that division as well. And then you got the AL East to wrap it up here. You have Toronto, not Tampa Bay, New York with the Yankees, the Orioles, and the Red Sox. And again, similar to all four of these teams are currently in the AL East. You'd just be losing Tampa Bay, but they're all in that New England area pretty much, except for Toronto and Baltimore. But Baltimore's been in that AL East division for a long time now, so I guess it makes sense here. Nothing too radical with the athletic maps here. I really like what they got here. It's less radical. It adds some changes, some fun twists, and the changes they make are really teams that have kind of been backmarkers, like the Pirates moving divisions, the Rockies moving leagues, the Rays kind of getting moved because they're not really in the AL East. They're not in the same region as the Orioles, Yankees, Blue Jays, or Red Sox, in my opinion. And then you got the Royals getting moved to a new division. Like, the AL's got a little bit of something going on here. It's not perfect, and I really didn't expect it to be perfect. Like, I should probably temper my expectations a little bit. But I really like the athletics maps compared to Fox. I really don't like Fox in comparison. I think the names are cool. I like that. I like the names, but I don't like just what they got going on. Plus, they have all the AL divisions, Fox does, on the East Coast, and they got the NL on the West, more or less, excluding the NL Midwest, because those are technically on the eastern side, but you get what I mean. But I really also don't like that as well about Fox's realignment map. But I guess that's why I like the athletics more. It's more of what we have today, except with some fun little changes that I do really, really like. But you guys are going to have to let me know down in the comments what you think of these maps. Go check out Yahoo Sports or The Athletic for these maps as well. And tell me in the comments if you agree with my takes. Do you think Fox's map is amazing and the Athletics suck? Just let me know down in the comments, and I'm going to have to be waiting for Miles to give me a reply in the comments as well. But also, let me know down in the comments, do you think MLB should keep the AL and the NL? And which two teams will be added? Which two cities will be awarded MLB franchises as well? And if you want to hear some of me and Miles' both of our thoughts of expansion in the MLB, go check out our last full episode. It will be the last chapter of the show, and we have a bunch of other stuff we want to talk about there, mostly NFL stuff, but go check it out. It's a lot of fun. And as well, go check out my NASCAR show, Talkin NASCAR with Andrew Volkman. If you aren't into NASCAR and you want to get into it, or if you're just curious about it, it's a good place to go check it out. And if you're an existing NASCAR fan, welcome. I'd love to have you on the show as well. But that's enough of me of advertising for me for one day. I have to go hit the hay after I upload this episode. But thank you guys so much for tuning in. I'm Andrew Volkman, and speaking for my partner, Miles Shield, thank you so much for listening. We will see you in the next episode. Take care, everybody.